She says it like a compliment, but it lands like a confession. He has something I've never seen in anyone. And even as she smiles, her throat tightens. Because what she means is, he has something I've never let myself become. Picture a quiet room after midnight. The blue glow of a phone on the sheets. Your thumb hovers over his name, not because you have new information, but because you want the ache to turn into motion. In your mind, he is a locked chest. In your body, he is a magnet. But sometimes the thing you call him is actually you, seen from a distance. The fascination is not proof that he holds your future. It might be a signal that your own power has been waiting, patiently, for your attention. In an old bookstore that smells like damp paper and cedar dust, she runs her fingertips along a rough cloth cover like she is checking for a pulse. The heat is stuck in the back of the room, and the ceiling fan clicks once every turn. Patient and a little tired, she tells herself she is only browsing, but she keeps drifting toward the same shelf, the one where the spines look handled, softened by other hands, like the books have been lived with and not just owned. She opens a used copy and a thin pencil line greets her on the first page. The kind of private note that makes you feel chosen. The handwriting is small and slanted, and beside it there is a date, faded, and a tiny smudge where someone paused too long. Her chest drops, not in a dramatic way, more like a tide pulling out. It hits her with that familiar certainty he is rare. He is different. He is the exception. She flips again, faster now, hunting for more evidence, as if the next margin will explain why she cannot stop thinking about him. She catches herself holding her breath, waiting for a sentence to glow. Then the quiet part of her speaks, almost annoyed, almost tender. Maybe he's facing himself, not me. And she hates that the thought brings relief, because relief means there is another possibility, that what she calls his depth might be something she recognizes, because it is already in her, knocking from the inside. She closes the book slowly, like you close a door without wanting it to latch. Her thumb keeps rubbing the same bent corner, the one she has touched 3 times already, as if it is a charm. Outside the front window, a couple walks past with coffee cups and an easy pace, and she watches them for a second too long. She is not jealous of their love. She is jealous of their steadiness. She tucks the book back onto the shelf, but her eyes stay on it, as if she is leaving a piece of herself there. And when she steps away, she feels the pull in her body like a string tightening, asking her to return. The apartment hallway smells faintly like detergent and someone else's dinner. The motion sensor light clicks on as she steps out of the elevator, then dims behind her, then flares again when she shifts her weight. It makes the whole corridor feel like it is watching. It is 7:45 p.m., and her keys are clenched in her fist, so tight the metal teeth leave a neat little sting in her palm. She is standing right in front of her own door, close enough to go in, but she is not going in. She is waiting for a feeling to tell her what to do. Her phone is warm from being held too long. The screen reflects her face back at her in a washed-out blur, and his name sits there like an invitation she cannot stop rereading. In her mind, she hears herself say, just one more line. Something soft. Something smart. Something that makes him understand. She opens the message thread anyway. The cursor blinks like a heartbeat she does not trust. She starts with, "Hey," then deletes it. She tries, just checking in, then deletes that too, because it sounds like she is trying not to sound like she is trying. What she really wants to send is not a sentence. It is a hand reaching through glass, asking him to turn around and finally see her the way she sees him. She lifts her thumb and almost types, "I miss you," then stops, not because she suddenly feels proud, but because something in her gets very still, the way a room goes quiet when a door closes gently. "I want to send one more text," she thinks, and the thought is so honest, it almost makes her laugh. Then a second thought follows, quieter, like a friend standing beside her instead of inside her. But something in me says stop. She locks the phone without sending anything. The hallway light flickers once, and in that brief dimness she realizes she has been treating his attention like proof of her value, like a receipt she needs to keep. She takes one slow breath and turns the key in the lock, not as a victory, but as a choice. Tonight, she will step back into her own life, even if it feels empty for a minute. Back at the bookstore, she claims a corner of a scratched wooden table near the window where the glass is fogged from rain. The room is warm in that old, slow way, and every time someone turns a page, it sounds like a small agreement being made. She finds the line again, the one that felt like it was written directly into her ribs, and she takes a quick photo before she can talk herself out of it. It is such a simple action, almost nothing, yet it carries the same energy as a secret keepsake. Then she catches the shape of what she has been doing. When you make him the treasure, you turn yourself into the map, always adjusting your route, always searching for signs that you are on the right path. The photo sits in her camera roll like a tiny altar, something she returns to when the day feels ordinary. She has been feeding that one image more attention than her own work, her own friendships, her own sleep. And the bargain underneath it is quieter than obsession, which is why it works. If he is the chest that holds the gold, then she never has to risk opening her own hands and admitting what is already there. She scrolls through the picture again, zooming in on the underlined words, as if clarity lives in closer pixels. For a second she feels the pull to build a story around it, to make it mean he is meant to be hers. She puts the phone face down on the table, the way you set down a glass before you spill it. "I'm learning to let something be," she whispers, not as a surrender, but as a new kind of strength. The motion sensor light flickers again as she walks back down the hallway, like it cannot decide whether to witness her or leave her alone. The air is cooler here, and she can hear someone's television through a thin wall, laughter muffled into a steady hum. Her phone is already in her hand, as if it grew there. She types fast, the way you type when you are trying to outrun your own doubt. A careful paragraph appears, full of grace and understanding, full of the kind of language that makes you easier to abandon. Then she adds the line she always adds, the small apology that slides in like a tip. "Sorry if I'm overthinking." Her stomach turns as soon as it lands on the screen, because she knows what she is doing. Creator, insert. I notice how often women can name his gifts in detail, but struggle to name their own with the same warmth. A pattern I keep seeing is the chase starting right after a small moment of wonder. Here's what tends to happen the more he feels like the answer. The smaller her daily life becomes without her realizing it. The light dims, then brightens, and she stares at the message like it belongs to someone else. She backspaces the apology first, slow and deliberate, letter by letter, like pulling a thread out of a dress you are done wearing. She reads what is left and realizes it is still a request for permission to matter. Her thumb hovers over send, and for a moment she wants the relief of action more than she wants her dignity. I almost send it. I don't. She deletes the whole thing, and the blank screen feels louder than the words ever did. The phone goes into her pocket like a stone she refuses to throw again. And she thinks, very plainly, I am not explaining myself to be loved. The park bench has peeling paint that flakes onto her coat like old confetti. Dry leaves stick to the soles of her shoes when she shifts her feet, and the air smells like cold grass and car exhaust. She sits with her notebook open on her knees, the paper slightly warped from being carried around for days. She writes the qualities she keeps praising in him, the ones that make her feel small and hungry at the same time. Steady, certain, deep, unafraid to take up space. Then she pauses, pen hovering, and she forces herself to be honest in a new direction. Not, how do I get him to choose me, but where do I practice this in my own life? Today. Even if nobody claps, the question makes her throat tighten, because it takes away her favorite excuse. For steady, she writes, show up for the thing I keep postponing. She thinks of the email she has avoided, the one that would close a chapter she keeps leaving open for comfort. For certain, she writes, stop checking my phone before I check my own plans. For deep, she writes, one real conversation this week, not 10 clever messages. She pictures herself calling a friend and saying, I've been disappearing into someone else again. And she winces. It is easier to be mysterious than to be clear. She turns the page and writes a sentence that looks too simple to be true. I don't negotiate the minimum. She reads it out loud under her breath. And the words feel like a warm cup held between both hands. She is not trying to punish him. She is trying to stop starving herself. The bench creaks as she leans back, and she lets the wind hit her face like a small wake-up call. In the bookstore aisle, the light has that dusty gold tone that makes everything feel more meaningful than it is. She stands between two shelves, one hand resting on the rough cloth spine like it might steady her. The ceiling fan clicks again, and somewhere near the register, a bell gives a tired little ring when the door opens. She thinks about him the way she thinks about certain books, like they are rare, like they are proof that a better life exists. She notices how she edits herself, even when he is not here, smoothing her voice into something easier to admire. Even her laughter changes shape in her memory. Quieter, more polished, more agreeable. This is where the shadow shows up. In plain life, it is the part of you that would rather chase a glowing idea than risk being fully present in your own ordinary day. It is safer to make him the mystery than to admit you have been shrinking to fit inside the story. She pulls a book from the shelf, and the paper smells like rain-soaked cardboard. A line is underlined in pencil, and she feels that familiar drop in her chest. The old hunger for a sign. Then she sees the other hunger underneath it, the one that has nothing to do with him at all. Because the pedestal is not really for him. It is a way to keep your own power at a distance, so you do not have to answer for it. Use it, or disappoint anyone with it, if he is the treasure. She gets to stay the seeker. She closes the book and presses her palm flat on the cover, feeling the texture, feeling her own hand. I don't want to be a map anymore, she thinks. And the thought is small but clean. She slides the book back into place and lets the shelf stay silent. The hallway is quiet now. The kind of quiet that makes you hear your own thoughts too clearly. The motion sensor light clicks on as she steps out of her apartment, and it casts her shadow long and thin against the wall. She stands there with her keys again, but this time she is not waiting for him to rescue the moment. Her phone buzzes with a notification that is not him, and she feels the sharp little disappointment anyway. It is embarrassing. The way hope keeps slipping in like a habit you did not mean to keep. I hate that I do this, She does not scold herself for it. She just notices it, like noticing the weather. She walks to the end of the hall where the window faces the street, and she watches headlights smear into soft lines in the rain. The urge to text rises in her chest, peaks, then starts to fall, like a wave that does not get permission to become a storm. She makes one small replacement move, something that belongs to her. She opens her notes app and writes 3 sentences about what she actually wants this year, not what she wants him to feel. Then she puts the phone away and lets the desire for contact remain unsatisfied. The way you let a craving pass when you know it is not hunger. When she turns back toward her door, the light flickers once, and she smiles without meaning to, not because she feels healed, not because she feels strong, but because she feels present, and being present is the beginning of emotional autonomy, the kind that shows up on a Tuesday when nobody is watching. She goes back to the bookstore on a weekday afternoon when the street is grey and the shop feels almost empty. The scratched wooden table is still there by the window, and the same damp paper smell hangs in the air like a memory you cannot quite place. She sits down, sets her phone beside her, then turns it face down before her thumb can wander. The underlined sentence is still underlined. The pencil mark did not fade just because she stopped staring at it. For a moment she lets herself feel the old pull, the urge to turn it into a message, a clue, a reason to reopen the chase. Then she does something that looks small from the outside. She leaves it alone. Maybe it's coincidence. The point is what it does to your attention and choices. If a man can pull your focus so completely that your life starts to shrink around waiting, that is not romance. That is a leak. She watches a raindrop slide down the window and decides she is done paying for answers with her piece. She opens her notebook and writes one clean standard. Not as punishment, not as a test. It is simply the rule that keeps her life intact. If he cannot meet her in clear words and consistent action, she will not donate her days to interpretation. She thinks about how she used to scan every silence for hidden meaning. The way you press your ear to a door and call it intimacy. Now she notices the difference between depth and distance by what it asks of her. Depth brings her closer to herself. Distance makes her perform. She slides the book back into her bag, not like a relic, but like a reminder that her admiration is information. The qualities she called his treasure are also her assignment, her invitation, her next hour. Quiet power returns when she keeps her own promises. She stands up, pushes in the chair, and lets the table be just a table. As she walks toward the door, the bell gives its tired little ring, and she does not look back. Come back when you need steadier language for your life.